Hi guys, Dave here, and in this short video blog today I just want to touch on pre-season screening. For pre-season screening, I get asked loads of questions about it all the time, especially from new mentorship students. And pre-season screening, it's a funny one. You know, us as physiotherapists, we tend to get very giddy and excited at this magical time of year where we get to do all this pre-season screening. And unfortunately, the majority of that data and information, from my experience, is actually just put in a filing cabinet and not even utilized. Now, if you are one of these therapists that generally is going to utilize this information and put it into good effect, then just be careful, because the biggest mistake that I see therapists make is when they're designing their pre-season screening, that actually they're looking at the literature and they're looking at the movement patterns and the energy systems that their athletes are predominantly using in their sports. Whereas actually we need to take a step back, because for the next 6 weeks or however long your preseason duration is, the demands that are going to be placed on your athletes are actually very, very different to the demands that's actually happening in season. So for me, as a therapist working in sport and predominantly rugby union, rugby league, my pre-season screening, my priority was making sure that I'm looking at my athlete's ability to cope with the demands of the next 6 weeks. Because if you're looking at your athlete's ability to cope with the demands placed upon him in season, essentially we've missed the boat, because a lot of the damage is probably going to be done already in pre-season, when the athletes are going to be asked to undergo a massive amount of stress, okay, almost barbaric if you work in the rugby union and rugby league sides, and the stress is placed upon their bodies, and how they adapt and react to those stresses, both internally and externally, okay, is ultimately going to shape how they're moving anyway in season. So the key thing, okay, is make sure that you understand or have some idea of the demands that's going to be placed upon your athlete's body in the next 6 weeks. And that ultimately means that you're going to have really good communication skills with your strength and conditioning coaches, and also your skills coaches or your head coach. Because if you're not communicating with your S&C, then in my opinion, your injury prevention system is always going to be very limited. But it's essential that you understand the stresses that are going to be placed upon that athlete's body in the next 6 weeks. And then that, in my opinion, should be the priority, that you're looking for information that's going to give you, some warning signals or signs that maybe that athlete may struggle with this, okay? And then obviously it's very important to intervene and put in your interventions, whatever that may be. Because we know in the literature it's quite limited. So injury prevention is actually more of an art than a science at the moment, with the limited research that we have at actually our ability to predict injury. Okay, now I'm going to cover this in a lot more detail on the 28th of June 2016 if you're watching this video later, just for that. But just below this video there's an opportunity to sign up for a free webinar that I'm going to put on. I put it on every year on pre-season screening, and in the last 12 months, we've been trying some other little bits, especially with the Huddersfield Giants, that I'm going to talk a little bit about as well. So if you want to sign up below, you can grab your free seat. And then in that 60-minute webinar, I'm going to go into this concept of pre-season screening in a lot more detail and show you what's worked well for me in the past and also what's not worked so well. Okay, so I'd invite you now just below this video to secure your spot on the pre-season screening webinar. It's happening on the 28th of June at 7:30 p.m. UK time. I'd love for you to join us, and as I said, I'll show you in a lot more detail some of the concepts that we've been discussing in this short video, and also some other stuff that I've used in the past.